What inner resources are needed to continue one's quest for success? Because Joseph loved and obeyed God, he was able to engage in wise and discerning problem solving that motivated Pharaoh to appoint him second in command over all of Egypt. The Pharaoh of Egypt had two dreams that disturbed him for two reasons. One, the dreams were strange, and two, there was no one among his wise men to interpret either one. In both Egypt and Babylon, professional dream interpreters were part of the prevailing religious system. In the meantime, Joseph spent more than 2 years in prison for a crime that he did not commit. But once again, we see the providential hand of God was with him. No one was able to interpret Pharaoh's dreams until Joseph was allowed access to Pharaoh. And that brings us to our key Bible verse for today, which reads, Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, Since God has revealed the meaning of the dreams to you, clearly no one else is as intelligent or wise as you are. You will be in charge of my court, and all my people will take orders from you. Only I sitting on my throne will have a rank higher than yours. Genesis chapter 41, verse 39 and 40. Revealing the future to certain people is consistent with God's character. He told Abraham many years before that his offspring would go into a strange land and come out again with great wealth, and revealed to Joseph how he would exalt him above his brethren. In many instances, God makes known his future dealings to pagan rulers whom he uses to carry out the divine plan. Therefore, Joseph establishes the fact that Pharaoh's dreams are revelations of God's plan. Then he begins to interpret the dreams in detail. Once Joseph had interpreted the dreams and divine plans to Pharaoh, Pharaoh immediately honored the young man with favor. Pharaoh recognized that Joseph's wisdom and understanding came from God. Therefore, he avowed that the young Hebrew would be rewarded handsomely for his discernment and wisdom. Joseph's was a unique rags to riches story. In a short period of his life, he went from the pit to the palace, from obscurity to influence, all because of the favor and blessings of God. We must keep in mind that we do not need to try to selfishly promote ourselves. Joseph's interpretation was honest and not self-promoting. God is the one who gives us favor with our superiors, relatives, and others. If we are faithful and committed to the Lord, He will bless us as well. Joseph is now an Egyptian ruler and the prime minister of Pharaoh's entire kingdom. He settles in Egypt and begins a family before the famine engulfed the land. Through thoroughly Egyptian now, Joseph gives his two sons Hebrew names. The first is named Manasseh, which means in Hebrew, cause to forget or forgetful. The second son is called Ephraim, which translates to double fruit or very fruitful. Joseph's experience was tragic from the time he left his father's home until his ascendancy to the prime minister. From a human perspective, the young man does not want to remember all he endured. His son Manasseh would affirm that Joseph had turned the corner on his oppression and difficulties because he had put his trust in the Lord. Consequently, his son Ephraim would always remind Joseph that only through God's grace and favor had Joseph been promoted in Egypt and received increase, hence was fruitful, and influence as a result of his faithfulness to the Lord. Even in the land of his affliction, Joseph recognized the centrality of God's compassion and grace. Separation from his father and all that he held dear has not diminished Joseph's perspective that he is still in the hands of God. So here's our lesson. Each of us faces circumstances that can lead us to doubt our faith and plunge us into despair. It is important that, like Joseph, we find ways to give godly and practical encouragement to others whose situations seem bleak, even if our own circumstance is equally dire. We would also do well if we, like Joseph, were to see God at work in unlikely places in our own lives. When we seek God's wisdom in solving problems, we should be proactive and prepared for God to act rather than despondent when we face unexpected crises. We should, like Joseph, remain confident that God is working on our behalf as we prepare for His next move in our life. Heavenly Father, fill our hearts with what we truly desire, for who we truly seek is you.